นอนได้ อ่อนเอ่ยเจ้าเคยจรมานอนรังเอ่ย
that fuckboy alone. That black nigga, where's my throne? I'm that sick, sadistic, fucking twisted bitch, yeah. I'm that nasty, twisted, dirty bitch, I wanna fuck, yo. I got so fucking high last night, I kicked myself out of Berghain. I'm high than a motherfucker, ain't nobody telling me shit, yeah. I'm feeling myself right now, yeah, I'm feeling myself to death, I just died. Who got one, who got one, who got one more fucking life? They say, got nine, but motherfucker shit. I'm fighting, I'm just fucking trying to stay alive.
You know, I did music for most of my life with Youth of Today. Youth of Today was the band before I became a monk. And then at the height of that career, this was a New York City hardcore straight edge band. We didn't drink, we didn't smoke. The idea of the band, we were teenagers. We were all teenagers. Me and my buddy Paramananda, who also later moved into an ashram. So we started this when we were 16, 17, and it was a cool scene, making our own music and stuff like that. But when we got Youth of Today together, it was about sort of a message of better living, positive mental attitude, these spiritual principles like karma, and what goes around comes around, and respect, dignity, controlling your senses and your mind. And I always felt like life is meant for our self-edification. That's why we're here. We're here on a mission of growth. And when I read books by sages or mystics and things like that, I was always like, I want to be like that. That's what I want to be. That's bigger than anything out there that I want to be. So truthfully, the band, I'm not a musician. I play a little bit of everything. I wrote all the songs, but I always looked at myself as more like a seeker and maybe a spokesperson. But then at a certain point in the success of that band, I started realizing, okay, now we're big, and there's a lot of people who are following those sort of principles of controlling your senses. We don't drink, we don't smoke, we don't take drugs. We can care about what we eat, but that's not the goal. That's like a doorway to something bigger. And so for me, I had to step away from that. Even though it wasn't bad or anything, it wasn't what I wanted to become. And it was a certain point in my life. You know, you get to a certain end of a chapter in your life, and for me, and at the time it was the height of the band's career as well. We started touring internationally and stuff like that. But I realized there was no amount, and by the way, this was 80s in New York, which is a very cool time. Run DMC, Madonna, the Beastie Boys. You never knew like what was about to like blow up, and you were with all these other people that they were your inspiration and they were your friends and stuff like that. So at that height and excitement, I just said, there is no amount of like material success I want that's going to fill sort of like a God-shaped hole in my heart. There's nothing out there that I want, and it was also a very precarious time in my life where, not precarious, but a time where my father went into a coma for 3 years. And so comas are one of these places where you don't, is he dead? Is he alive? And it's so confusing for a person that loves that person, how to even react. And, I'll say in a humiliating way, I couldn't deal with it. And I sort of shut myself off. And I went and just started working on my music, something I could do. And then at his death, when he finally left his body, I was cultivating a strong desire to go to India and study more. And at that time I was also studying yoga, Ayurvedic medicine. And when he left his body, I decided I'm going to India now. That was a sign for me, and I quit the band. I'll share with you how I saw it. I remember sitting in an ashram on 24th Street, a Shivananda ashram. Shivananda was like a Swami. He traveled the world. He taught the teachings of yoga outside India, and he wrote lots of books. And there's a library of books, or a bookstore up on 24th Street where he has an ashram in New York City. And I remember reading this one quote by him in the midst of my life as in a band and being a teenager living in New York City. And it was, the first one was really interesting. Where is your happiness coming from? Is it coming from your day-to-day living? Or is it just happiness from your ego? And I thought, where is my happiness coming from? Is it from me being a person that I want to be? Is it from, people nowadays, they collect houses, they collect cars, they collect so many things. I collected records. I collected rare punk records. And in my brain, I thought, oh man, and you gotta understand what the music scene was like that if you're unfamiliar with it. There was a band that was great, and they put out 1,000 7-inch records. And then the band broke up, yet the punk scene always grew. So these records you bought for $2 are now worth, people pay $100 for that record. And so me and my guitar player, Purcell, we had like thousands of incredibly rare punk records that, if you remember the world of records, no one played their records because you could damage them. What you did was you put everything on a cassette. And so I started thinking about this quote by the Swami who said, man, where am I getting my pleasure from? I'm thinking, well, my records are pleasurable. I was like, well, actually the music's pleasurable. The records are only pleasurable when somebody comes over to my house and says, oh my God, you got that record? That record's so impossible to get. Right. And so once I read that, it was the first shattering of my concept of self and what is joy and what is pleasure based on my ego, and all those records that I really valued, and I had really valuable records. And we started our own record company at the time. So we would basically print limited editions of our band. We put out all our friends' records, Sick of It All, Gorilla Biscuits. These were all bands that we grew up with. Our own band, Youth of Today. And so we put out these records, we'd make limited edition, and then we trade these. It's like printing your own currency, basically. To make a long story short, after I read that one quote, my whole concept of pleasure changed, and I took all those records and I threw them out on stage. And it was like maybe the first attempt of shedding my ego. That was a roundabout story, but the second part of what that Swami wrote was, and I'm paraphrasing this, of course, the diseases of the soul are not new. They're ancient. The soul is pure. The spirit is pure. But it gets covered by lust, greed, anger, and envy. And I started thinking, well, not me. Lusty. I'm not greedy. I'm not angry. I'm in a band. I have no money. And if you've ever been in a band, it costs money to buy a guitar. Got a guitar, costs money to buy strings. Got strings, costs money to buy an amp. So it's just like it's a money pit to be in a band. You get paid $50 or whatever. So I was thinking, not me. But as my band got more successful, I realized, man, there is money out there that I want. And I remember I got offered money for the first time being in a band. Wow. I can get money. I should get, I wrote these songs. I should get more of that money. Then you get in a fight with the drummer. No, I should get that money. We should split it 4 ways. No, wait, I do so much more. I book everything. And I realized, wow, I wasn't not greedy. I just had no money. Yeah. I'm covered with greed. All these people hate the greedy, hate the rich, hate the 1%. You got to see what would happen if you were in that position. So that was like my first lesson in like actually I'm complete. I thought I was above it because I didn't drink, because I didn't smoke, because I was a vegetarian. Big deal, big deal. And it was these, and the spirituality starts to work on these subtle things that are plaguing me.
So one thing I think we have to take care of is that we're living in a historical epoch. There is something happening that many people like to repress. I call this the naturalistic turn in the image of man. That is, our image of ourselves is changing through all of this research, if we want it or not. And this image, this new image of man, is a departure from many traditional images of man. It looks like everything, even our mental, psychological properties, are the result of an entirely natural, bottom-up process of dynamical self-organization over millennia. We must come to terms, for instance, with the insight that not only our genes and our bodies are results of a process that knew no foresight. Evolution was driven by chance events. Evolution is a process that has no direction and no goal. But now, through evolutionary psychology and neuroscience, we learn that even our mental properties are results of a process that had no direction, that pursued no goal. And if you think about this more deeply, it's hard to come to terms with. So one question is, we are going to gain a lot through all this new knowledge. For instance, there will be advances in psychiatric medicine. We will be able to heal mental illnesses better in 20 to 50 years. There's a lot of good things coming to us, but there's also a price to be paid. And the question is, what will be the psychosocial costs? How will the general population react to this new understanding of ourselves as entirely natural, very likely mortal beings? Will there be an escape back into fundamentalism? Or will there be something like vulgar materialism flowering in society, a primitive form of hedonism? We all have to think what we want to do with all this knowledge together and the new potentials for action, because something that is coming out of neuroscience, and that's the last thing I actually want to draw your listeners' attention to, is neurotechnology. We will gradually, but better and better, we will be able to influence not only the brain, but consciousness itself. Neurotechnology will slowly blend into consciousness technology, and we will be able to control states of subjective experience in ever fine-grained and reliable manners in the future. And there is no way around old-fashioned philosophical questions. We have to ask not only what is a good action, but we have to ask what is a good state of consciousness. What states of consciousness do we want to show our children? What states of consciousness should be illegal in our societies, if any? What states of consciousness can we force upon animals, for instance, in research? What states of consciousness is it that we want to foster and cultivate in our societies? And perhaps what is the state of consciousness I want to eventually die in? So there are not only scientific questions, there are also normative questions, and there are not just what is a good action in applying new technology to the brain. In the end, it is also the question, what is a good life, given all this new knowledge about ourselves and all these new potentials for action?
In an era defined by technological advancement and unparalleled access to information, the need for self-discipline has never been more critical. With the advent of the internet and one-click access to a vast array of temptations, from social media to online shopping to streaming entertainment, the modern individual faces constant temptation and distraction. In this digital age, the ability to resist the allure of instant gratification and exercise self-control has become a rare and precious commodity. In today's hyper-connected world, we carry powerful devices in our pockets that provide instant access to a seemingly endless array of pleasures and distractions. Whether it's binge-watching television shows, scrolling through social media feeds, or indulging in online shopping, the internet has made it easier than ever to satisfy our desires with the click of a button. However, this unprecedented level of convenience comes at a cost: the erosion of self-discipline and the proliferation of addictive behaviors. Comparing to times past, when we look back at the lives of historical figures such as Jesus, Muhammad, and Buddha, it's clear that they faced their own unique challenges, but the nature of temptation was fundamentally different. Without the distractions of modern technology, individuals had fewer opportunities to indulge their desires and were forced to confront their inner demons in a more direct and immediate way. In the ancient world, the attainment of sainthood or enlightenment was often associated with renunciation and asceticism, turning away from the temptations of the material world in pursuit of spiritual purity. While this path remains relevant in modern times, the challenges of self-discipline have become more complex and multifaceted. In an age of abundance and excess, resisting temptation requires a level of vigilance and mindfulness that is unprecedented in human history. Despite the daunting challenges posed by modern technology, there is hope for those who are willing to embrace the path of self-discipline. Those who possess the strength and determination to resist the temptations of instant gratification may indeed become the new sages of our time, wielding a power and influence that surpasses that of any saint or deity from ages past.